Which way is, where am I? She is a writer who has found success with books about life and love. At a book signing, she talks about fulfillment and says that, although she doesn't live in a fairy tale, she feels happy, and that's enough for her. She calmly signs copies, observes the people, and maintains a serene smile. Her confidence sustains her in front of the flashes, but there is something in her gaze that holds a certain latent unease. At that moment, her husband Anton appears to support her with a bouquet of flowers and a proper gesture. Later, in the kitchen, Ella talks on the phone with her daughter, who warns her that she will come home to introduce them to her partner. After hanging up, Ella serves Anton his meal. He frowns and complains about the dish. Ella tries to explain that it's because of his diet, but Anton gets upset, cuts the conversation short, and announces that his assistant will come to pick him up. When the girl arrives, she sees him through the window, leaving with a young and beautiful woman, and the peace is shattered. The next day, Nastya arrives home with Artyom, a man twice her age. She greets them with a tense expression, and the atmosphere becomes charged during lunch with Anton. He asks Artyom's age, and upon hearing that he is 40, loses control. Nastya firmly defends her boyfriend while the table turns into a battleground, opening a rift in the family. Nastya is about to leave, but her father's words stop her when Anton warns that if she goes, he will stop giving her money. She freezes for a second and then replies that she doesn't need anything from him. She leaves with her partner, head held high, leaving Anton on shaky ground and Ella bearing the weight of everyone's attention. A few days later, Ella travels and decides to come home early to surprise her husband, just days before their anniversary. When she enters, she finds a pair of boots by the stairs and a woman's coat on the sofa. That coat tossed there is like a flag planted on conquered territory, a reminder that for Anton, people are objects to be replaced, like clothes. Her heart races. She goes up to their bedroom and opens the door. There, Anton is with his supposed assistant, Liron, and her world collapses in a single, crushing blow. She lashes out at Anton, confronts him about his betrayal, and demands answers. She immediately turns her anger toward Liron and orders her to leave, emphasizing that this is her house. Anton steps in, not to calm things down, but to say that the one who should leave is her, because he wants a divorce. He adds that Liron is expecting his child, and she is left devastated, her breathing ragged, with the house enveloped in a hostile silence. With no other option, she goes to her mother Kira's house, seeking refuge. The elderly woman is cold in the face of her daughter's pain and tells her she must go back to Anton, that he is her husband, and no one can take him away from her. She tries to remind her that he cheated on her in her own bed, but Kira insists on her duty. She thanks her for the hospitality and leaves, alone and with no clear place to go. With no other options, she heads to Elena's house, an old classmate and friend. Elena welcomes her kindly and listens to her story of heartbreak as they share a tangerine. Afterwards, Elena shows her a photo of her son, whom Ella had seen when he was a child. Now he's an adult and time seems to be starting another chapter. Not long after, the two of them go to a bar, have a few drinks, and start dancing. Two men try to take advantage of their drunkenness. Suddenly, Kolya, Elena's son, arrives with Masha, his girlfriend, and firmly pushes them away. He gets Ella and Elena out of trouble, and the night ends with a rescue that leaves a tacit bond. The next day, Ella receives a call from her editor. He explains to her that they will no longer be publishing her books because Anton was sponsoring the editions and has withdrawn his support. Ella hangs up with a knot inside, feeling that her success didn't depend on herself, but on the man she was tied to. The wound to her pride reopens and sadness settles in. Seeing her friend's low spirits, Elena asks her son to accompany Ella to the park to clear her mind while she works. Kolya agrees, and the two of them stroll among the trees. They share life stories and listen to each other without hurry. The cold air grounds them, and the calm brings trust. Between pauses, their closeness begins to build something subtle. That afternoon, Masha arrives at Elena's house to pick up Kolya, with whom she has a date. He looks discouraged and distant, and it's obvious that he doesn't really like her. He stays by her side because of Masha's intensity, but his gaze drifts elsewhere. The discomfort grows, and a latent conflict begins to surface. Shortly after, they throw a party to which Ella is invited. Everyone celebrates one of the women's birthdays together, sharing laughter and toasts. When it's time to dance, instead of inviting his girlfriend, Kolya approaches Ella and asks her to dance. Is it really just a dance? Or is it the first step toward a place where they both know they shouldn't go? All eyes are on them. Elena frowns and Masha feels uncomfortable. The music doesn't cover up the tension, which slips in between their steps. That same night, when they get home, Elena opens up to Ella. She says she doesn't like the way her son looks at her, as if he's fascinated. Ella replies that she understands and that she'll leave the next day to put some distance between them. Elena nods and thanks her for the decision. The house falls silent with a decision made that hangs heavy in the air. In the morning, Kolya comes in and asks his mother where Ella is. Elena says that she went back to Anton. He gets angry and demands the truth. She concludes that she sent her away because she didn't like the looks between them. Kolya goes out to look for Ella without hesitation, his heart racing and his determination clear. He finds her at Kira's house and approaches her without hesitation. He kisses her with restrained passion, as if something long held back is finally released. She suggests an idea, going to a cabin that belongs to her mother. They travel, arrive at the place, and Kolya helps her chop wood. He prepares the space and makes sure she's comfortable. He doesn't leave when they're done. He decides to stay, and the tension between them is consumed in inevitable intimacy. Not knowing where her son is, Elena calls the police and reports him missing. They recommend she check hospitals in case of an accident because it's too soon to consider him missing. Elena hangs up with trembling hands, fear growing inside her. She can't sit still, so she looks for another way. With no other options, she visits Kira. The elderly woman says her daughter was there recently, and Elena calms down a little. She asks about Kolya. At first, Kira doesn't understand who she's referring to. When Elena shows her a photo of the boy, Kira recognizes him immediately. A connection is made, and the path points toward a familiar place. Kira checks a box where she keeps the key to the cabin. She finds it empty, and they deduce that Kolya and Ella went there. Without wasting any time, they go to the cabin and find them in the middle of a passionate kiss. Elena and Kira are shocked and show their anger at the situation. The intimacy is broken, and outside, the reproaches hit hard. Kolya follows his mother outside and asks her to come home. He promises to come back the next day to talk calmly. At the same time, Kira tells her daughter how disappointed she is that she got involved with a young boy. The words fall heavy, and the cold of the cabin mixes with the guilt. The next day, Nastya goes to her parents' house and finds out that Anton has a new girlfriend and is in the process of divorcing her mother. The news hits her hard because she finds out this way, and she lashes out at her father. She storms out of the house, and the family fracture widens a little more. Shortly after, Nastya confronts her mother for hiding what happened with Anton. At that moment, Kolya arrives with a bouquet of flowers for Ella. Ella introduces him, and Nastya responds with sarcasm, sizing the boy up with suspicion. The scene cracks between courtesy and discomfort, and the encounter leaves a shadow. At the same time, Anton suffers a heart attack. Liron, upon seeing him, tells the doctor that he won't take care of him. He admits that he only wants his money. He doesn't realize that Anton is conscious and hears every word. The revelation pierces him, and the pain in his chest mixes with the feeling of betrayal. That night, Ella receives a call with the news about her husband. Without thinking, she and Nastya decide to go take care of him. Kolya is upset by the decision, but he can't stop Ella. He watches her as she walks away, and the distance opens a gap between what they feel and what they must do. Ella takes care of Anton. She puts up with his bad moods and rudeness under the premise that he is her only family. She arranges his pillows, gives him his medicine, and endures his outbursts. The routine is burdensome, but Ella doesn't give in, even though he disrespected her in the worst way. Duty prevails, even if it hurts. Liron sneaks into the house and pretends to want to take care of Anton. He already knows that she only wants his money and doesn't let himself be manipulated. Liron shows her true colors and admits that she wanted to use him to get his properties and change the will in her favor. She leaves, and at that moment, Anton suffers another heart attack. This time he doesn't survive, and the house is left in a final, absolute silence. After Anton's death, the lawyer informs Ella and Nastya that he was planning to change the will, but didn't have time. All the assets and money pass into their hands. Mother and daughter listen in silence with their grief still fresh. The inheritance places a new burden on their shoulders. Ella takes advantage of the momentum and finishes a draft about the reality of love in her life. She brings it to an editor who says he will publish her book without hesitation. When Elena finds out about the publication, she visits Kira and says she hopes Ella doesn't come back into her son's life because when Kolya reads that book, he'll see himself in it. A mother's worry is rekindled. Kira responds that her greatest fear has always been that her daughter would end up alone in her later years, just like she did. She comments that Ella and Kolya seemed happy and maybe they should be together. Elena realizes that by trying to keep them apart, she was only hurting her son. The resistance softens, and the path toward forgiveness begins to appear. Not long after, Ella visits her mother and takes the opportunity to talk to Kolya, to whom she gives a copy of her new book. He gets angry because Ella has come back just to give him a book instead of apologizing for leaving before. He walks away with heavy steps, leaving Ella with tears in her eyes. The rejection breaks her, but it doesn't stop her. However, after reading the book, Kolya goes to Ella's house. He tells her that a love story doesn't have to end badly, that everyone deserves a happy ending. He comes closer and kisses her, closing the distance that separated them. The story is sealed with that gesture and the future opens up before them. In the end, she discovered that even when life falls apart, there is always an open door. Sometimes it's not about starting over, but about starting in a way you never allowed yourself before. Just like you should start a new video. Go ahead, pick one.